Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Entrepreneur Cast, the place where we talk about scaling businesses and inspiring journeys. Today's episode is quite special to me. I often say that, but it's truly special to me because this show is the showstopper for this year. So meet Sebastian Aguirre, a guy, hello, a
Hi.
guy who's had one of the most interesting career journeys out there, and in a bit you will know why. Now he's a senior franchise director, relationships director at NiceJob. It's a reputation marketing software to build a strong online presence because let's face it, Google reviews are the real MVPs for any business today. But before this, Sebastian spent 20 years in the film industry. And I was myself quite impressed when I checked your LinkedIn for the first time because you worked with Netflix, Apple TV, Amazon Studios, and Disney. I hope I've mentioned all of them. So, from being an assistant director on set to editing behind scenes, I bet, Seb, you have a lot to share on storytelling and attention to detail. That's one thing I thought about. And somewhere along the way, Sebastian also transitioned into business, running his own coffee company called as I Love Coffee, wherein you also tried to ship it to North America and beyond. I'm not sure of the countries, but let's talk about it in the podcast. And today, Sebastian is fully immersed in the franchise world and is helping brands stand out, sell more services, products, and locations. When he's not doing that, he's speaking at events and joining podcasts, such as mine, to share insights on how franchisees can thrive in today's digital world, but not just franchisees, people out there in general, because Sebastian, you're doing pretty well on LinkedIn. So kudos to you on that. Without further ado, let's get into a 360-degree view on reputation building for franchise brands and further, and the lessons that you've learned about scaling businesses and much more. This is going to be a great one. Welcome to the show, Seb.
Thanks. That's quite the intro. So thank you. Happy to be here.
I love it. I was very much looking forward to having you on the podcast. And I think before we get into, the main topic, let's quickly go back to your journey because you were in the film industry. So how did you make a switch? What happened?
Um, I think technology happened. So if we go back to 2001, I was in film school. And before I graduated, I was already working on my first $100 million film. I started in casting. Later, I started to move into editorial and visual effects, which is what I specialize to this day. And at the time, you could only work in those industries if you were trained properly. And
Mm-hmm.
also, back in the day, equipments were much more bulkier. And now we have phones. So technology has changed all those shifts. So yeah, I worked in the film industry for about 15, 17 years. And then eventually I started my own. I purchased this coffee business, and we shipped coffee to North America. We did really well, and then the pandemic happened, and then I decided to go technically back to my career. And I closed my business. And at the time, a friend of mine said to me, like, "Hey, there's this role at this company for NiceJob, and it's with franchising." And I said, well, I don't know anything about franchising. Like I know tech, I know marketing, I know film, but I have no idea about franchising. And she basically said, like, just check us out, and we'll teach you. And little did I know, I was entering one of the best like worlds I ever never thought I'd tap into. And it's been great. The connections, like even
Mm-hmm.
meeting you, the franchising space is so different from corporate because it's about family, it's
Mm-hmm.
about connections, and I gravitate to that. So yeah, I work at a Nice Job as a senior director, and I help franchise brands build their online reputation by automating the process of getting reviews, referrals, and social media content. And I'm still learning, Abby. Like, I don't consider myself like I know everything. I feel like I still have so much to learn. So I've been meeting great peers and colleagues, and I'm always picking their brain, trying to learn. Because as you know as well in media, things are changing all the time,
All the
almost every
time.
day, right?
100%, 100%. The digital landscape changes all the time, and if you're not updated, you lose the game. And it's great that you mentioned that, because franchising, if you look at it, it's an industry that has been in existence for many years. I can't give a precise number, but for many years. How many years? A century? Maybe
I'd
not.
say so, yeah.
Yeah?
Almost over, yeah, slightly over a century now, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so that's great. That means that this industry has something very, very powerful that it has been able to continue till today, and is working very well. Still, people say that it's the best way to scale your business. But what I really like is how you are bringing in technology in this industry
Hmm.
to let brands, be there, out there, in a sustainable way.
Hmm. Yeah. I believe like technology, especially in franchising now, or any type of vertical needs technology, especially with the rollout of ChatGPT and other AI tools. Already there's franchises that are automating processes simply because it's easier for you to run and operate your business
Mm-hmm.
while the tools are working in the background for you. And that's kind of what NiceJob does as well. We're kind of like a connector of pearls, right? The franchisees. And as we
Right.
build their online reputation, it turns into this beautiful necklace, right? That has a lot of value. So we elevate the brand, and social proof is huge now because authenticity is what consumers want to see in a business.
I
They want to
agree.
see these success stories. They want to see failures.
Mm-hmm.
They want to see transparency. So social proof is a huge, huge leveraging tool for building more business and scaling.
It's great that you mentioned that, because when I think about reviews, it's like old as gold. Reviews is something that has been in existence, again, just like franchising, has been in existence for a long time, and still it's so relevant. So maybe I would like to know your take on what makes reviews. You mentioned it, but what makes them so relevant?
It's a very good question. Sometimes we think of reviews, well, they're just reviews, right? Because Google rolled out reviews back in 2007,
Mm-hmm.
and little did the world know that reviews work like a referral coming from a family or a friend, right? Because if you're in a city or you're in your own town and you want to eat some ramen or you want to get your hair cut, you go on Google, right? It's been Google is an extension of our bodies if you think about it.
Right.
So isn't it true that if you see a company or a business that has 600 reviews, 4.5 rating, and there's a lot of good things being said by
Mm-hmm.
customers, all of a sudden you get this little bit of dopamine of excitement of this company's very good. This last review was from last week, so you know it's relevant, it's fresh. So leveraging your reviews is basically like a spotlight on your
Right.
brand
Mm-hmm.
that's saying, hey, there's good things here, come do business with us.
Right.
And so we recommend to automate this process because the more reviews you have, the more business building you'll have towards your brand.
100%. What do you think about it? When people think about reviews, they often think, oh, if I'm going to a restaurant, or if I'm checking in a hotel, before that I'll look at the reviews. But other than that, which industries need reviews? Maybe it's all, but I want to know your take, because this is a myth, that
Mhm.
reviews are only essential for those kind of businesses.
Actually, reviews are for basically any type of business. Home service industry, restaurants, pharmaceutical. Reviews play a key component, especially in the social market that we live in. And reviews will be more important in the next coming years, Abby. Like
Mm-hmm.
with the Gen Zs, they will be the largest consumer demographic by 2026. That means that this generation is going to be the ones that are going to be buying, selling, purchasing. And the last data that we've been able to collect is that this cohort loves transparency. The previous generations were all about the secret sauce, right? We have the greatest trades, and everything was kept close to their chest. Everything was a secret. And that made you a really great company. You can't do that anymore. You have to
Mm-hmm.
open the doors and you have to let people in. And this cohort is going to look for that. So
Mm-hmm.
reviews plays part of that transparency. If you have success stories or stories of failures, that's okay. People are looking towards that realism,
Mm-hmm.
where if you have a brand that has 900 reviews, all 5 stars, and everybody's saying awesome stuff about you, that's great. But is it authentic? Is it AI generated?
Right.
Right? And isn't it true in your case when you go with your family to a restaurant and you Google them? Isn't it true that you look for 1-star ratings?
Yeah, you do. You do. And the moment you check one, you look for more and more validation,
Yeah.
for more negative reviews to be able to, really have an unbiased opinion about that.
Right? Psychologically, we don't think about these things, but we do them. Right? So you need a 1-star review here and there, but sometimes it's
Mm-hmm.
not from the fault of the business owner. At times
Right.
it could just be simply from a person who just wasn't happy with the way their burger was cooked.
Right.
And so they write something negative. But we tell our clients they're not necessarily a bad thing when you get a bad review because it's not
Right.
you. Maybe it's the client, but
Uh-huh.
this is an opportunity
This
to
is an opportunity.
showcase your customer service, offer a 20% discount. People read that. And when they see those little gems or factors, they'll be more inclined to be like, "Wow, this company mitigated that issue. They offered 20% off or a free
Mm-hmm.
meal, and it shows that they care." So reviews is more of a narrative story of your brand, really. It's an extension that speaks to people even when your business is closed, right? During business hours, because people are Googling even when you sleep,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's kind of like a front end store for your
I
business.
agree. Yeah, that's true. It kind of penetrates into not just, as I was mentioning, specific industries, but even for a job posting. Like if we have to digress a little bit, I mean, reviews is essential for anything and everything because people want to have more and more people
Yeah.
tell them for real if what they're venturing into would not, take something away from their pocket, and they are trusting a company that is authentic.
Yes. Yes. I think too, we'll be seeing more shifts in society, and we're already seeing them, right? But people want community nowadays, right? And
Oh, yes.
it's like you got to build trust, like on LinkedIn or other social channels. It's all about authenticity.
It is, and it does act as a catalyst for a brand to come across as authentic. I wanted to play just to make this energy more pepped up, a little game. So I will mention a couple of conceptions or myths
Okay.
around reviews, and like to have your opinion on that.
Yeah, let's do
Because
it.
I was, trying to Google and I found a couple of myths. So I wanted to collect them and see what's your take around those myths. What do you
Okay,
think?
let's do it.
Okay, so number one, only happy customers leave reviews. What if a
Uh,
brand is resistant to ask for reviews? They think only happy customer leaves reviews.
that would be, I would say, false in a way, because not happy people tend to leave reviews. Sometimes we call these individuals the Karens. They just woke up on the wrong side of the bed that day, and sadly, you're the business that they just need to speak negatively on social media or on Google. So it happens. But yeah, you do get positive and negatives. Not
Yeah.
equally, but you get them.
This reminds me, somebody popping out from the company in question and writing it back, is where is this coming from? All good?
Yes.
People who, as you mentioned, coming from the wrong side of the bed. Google reviews don't impact SEO.
Oh, they impact heavily. So, um, very true. Very true. The reason why we say that is because reviews are basically fresh generated content, and Google loves that. That's why automating the process is key. The more reviews you get on a consistent basis, the more improved SEO ranking you get on Google. So paid ads are great,
Mm-hmm.
but this is another way for businesses to save money is just by automating this process, by paying for a lower software that's business oriented, and definitely reviews is help for SEO.
And also, I tie it back to what you said earlier, and not just for brands, but even people. I have seen literally influencers on micro influencers on LinkedIn that have different services having testimonials all across their landing page. And that immediately, even if this person is not that well known, you go on a landing page, you see the testimonials, it builds an instant credibility. And obviously, they are leveraging these automated platforms to be able to make this process more streamlined
Hmm.
for them. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it does. You can't remove fake reviews.
Good question. So there is a way you can. I'll give you two scenarios. Let's say you provide a service, and the person that or the prospect that wrote a review for you is somebody that wrote the review in the wrong spot. Because it does happen with some of our clients where there's a moving company we work with, One Source Moving. They received a review from a person that they never serviced. It's not in their database.
Okay.
And the person was angry and wrote almost like a novel of how bad the burger was, but they are not a restaurant, so clearly it was a mistake. So there's a way where you can reach out to Google and
Mm-hmm.
ask to have that review flagged or investigated, and say that is not a client of theirs, but a mistake, and Google will review within 48 hours that review and remove it. Or if you do get a bad review, it's okay. It's a good opportunity for you to write back and showcase your brand and your customer service.
And this brings me to this myth responding to reviews isn't important. I've seen a lot of times
Mm.
brands out there, they would certainly respond to let's say, a negative comment because now their brand reputation is in jeopardy, but not so much when it's positive. So, for both scenarios, I mean, what's your take on that?
Yeah, basically, when it comes to those kind of reviews, you do have to mitigate them, and it's okay, right? Sometimes we live in a world where people do have to vocalize what their experience is like, and just having a way or a tone to
Mm-hmm.
write back is actually recommended. Leaving unresponsive reviews doesn't mean you're engaged at all. It's you're just there receiving them, but the best thing to do
Right.
is engage, and people can
Is
see
engage.
that as
Mm.
well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, interesting. How about all five-star reviews look good? So, which means only
Mm.
five-star reviews look good,
So that's a
and they all look good.
very, yeah, it's a very common question we have. Believe it or not, as much as five-star reviews are great, it's good to have a 4.1 and a 4.5 star, because perfectness necessarily doesn't mean it's authentic.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it is, maybe you are providing great, excellent service and all your reviews are 5 stars. But if there's one that's 4.1, 4.5,
Yeah.
it builds credibility. Sadly, people, when they see perfection, they think automation,
Mm.
ChatGPT, bots, right? So a little imperfection goes a long way as well.
100%. Yeah, I quite agree with that. There's nothing like perfect, and that looks more authentic and and not, something is fishy while you're looking at the reviews, even if it's not. It might seem like. Star ratings are all that matter. No detailed comments.
Ooh, that's a good one. If the more robust a review and a star rating is, the more it complements the overall review,
Mm-hmm.
right? If it's just a piece of the review, then something's missing. It doesn't really tell you anything about the review, right? So that's why we encourage our clients to ask their prospects to leave a robust review with a star rating. So it just looks
Mm-hmm.
more packaged in a way that's more real and
Interesting.
very
I have one.
psychological.
Yeah, all these are very psychological. Some of them are just, you being restrictive in your own mind because of the way you think things work around you and you don't want to make an effort, which is why I have one. I think of myself as a business owner,
Mm.
and I have seen a lot of business owners or teams have this hesitation. They think that if they have nothing to give in return for a review, see, let's say most of the times when you walk into a restaurant, they would say, "Could you write us a good review? We'll give you a free dessert," let's say. And so in that scenario, they're comfortable. But what if there's no trade taking place? What would you say to brand owners or teams about reviews when they have nothing to give? Or do they always have to give in return of reviews?
That's a very good question. And I say very good question because Google has a policy where you can't incentivize a review,
Hmm.
right? You can incentivize a referral. In other words, hey, can you refer me to a cousin or a friend and I'll provide 20% discount for your next burger, right? But reviews, it's very hard to incentivize those because there is a policy behind them. They have to be authentic,
Right.
right? So when you're at a restaurant, for example, the other day I went to a restaurant and our waitress gave us a QR code. And I liked the approach because she says, if you guys feel that you had a really good experience, would you help me by writing a review for me? And I thought it was very authentic because her her service spoke for her. The customer
Right.
service was excellent, the food was excellent. I was inclined
Mm.
to write a review out of like, yes, I want to write something great about you. Where it would be a different story where the food was awful, the service was awful, and then she goes, hey, would you write a review and I'll give you a free slice of pie,
Mm-hmm.
right? Something's off there.
Yeah.
You feel like nasty there.
Yeah.
So we just tell people your foundation is always your customer service. If
Right.
you give excellent customer service, your prospects will be more inclined to write a positive review for you. So you don't have to incentivize it, but rather showcase your service.
I love that. I mean, focus on the service, and then reviews would come in your way. Then, which what you're left with at the end of the day is to have systems and processes to be able to get those reviews, which we'll talk
Mm-hmm.
about in a bit. And that's what your core
Mm-hmm.
speciality is. Before I forget, you mentioned that when the last time we spoke, it was about the Federal Trade Commissions. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of buzz around it, their latest rule pertaining to customer reviews, and they made it
Yeah.
very clear that they are no more going to support fake it till you make it when it comes to customer reviews. So no fake reviews. I
Yeah.
believe there are no fake reviews, no buying reviews, no insider reviews, right?
Correct. Correct. Yeah, the FTC back in October 19th of this year,
Right.
they rolled out that new law, so to speak. And it's pretty serious because if you generate fake reviews or have some type of bot in your system, you can get fined up to $150,000.
Well,
Um, so this is good. Why? Because now businesses have an opportunity to authenticate, so to speak, their reviews. So
right.
now when I check your business and all the reviews written, I know they're from real people,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the reality is there's been some questionable practices of companies that have had fake reviews and they don't look good,
They
right?
don't.
And something's off.
Mm.
So now the FTC's kind of done away with that because starting now, they're like, if you're a business, have good practice. And if you do fail as a business, it's don't protect it because you gave terrible service. It's genuine. People are going to say what they feel, and they're in liberty to do so. So it's a good implementation that the FTC has rolled out to all the businesses.
I love that, and I think it's going to change the game altogether. I've had an incident myself, not
Mhm.
naming the brand, but yesterday I was just looking at the brand and just seeing, and there were so many fake, not, it wasn't fake, it was insider reviews
Mm,
supporting the brand's malpractices. And then,
yeah.
you could clearly see that this is coming from insiders because the way they write, and that's the writing style that we are going to talk about in a bit in another context. But
Yeah.
I mean, come on, even if you are, supporting the brand and you're an insider, at least make it look natural. They seemed like, how you read, uh, let's say I'm introducing somebody in a room, and how I read looking at paper, Mr. XYZ is a tycoon in this industry, blah blah blah. You can clearly see that it's an insider writing it
You
because
can tell, yeah.
yeah, it's fishy. Why would somebody talk about someone like you're writing a speech on them?
It feels it's interesting how we humans can detect insider reviews or even ChatGPT generated verbiage. You can tell when this is a robot
Oh my
speaking.
god, 100%. A
There's a
joke out
ton of
there.
adjectives.
A ton of adjectives. Let's see. Uh, Oh my God, this restaurant was so good. They totally know how to unlock the potential.
Yeah, or
Unlock.
additionally, or alternatively, like
Uh-huh.
there's all these like little words, adjectives that are plugged in, and you're like, that's not how you would write in
You
2024.
wouldn't. There's another one I've noticed. I'm not sure if you've done the same, but it goes somewhere along those lines. X is not just this, but it's also this. So something is not
Yes.
just this, but also this. I don't know why it does that. For anything you ask it to write, it often does that. So you've unlocked those kind of terms, but you can catch it if you use it regularly. You can certainly catch if it's written from ChatGPT or not.
Yes. It's interesting. I think ChatGPT is a tool that we can use, but don't abuse it.
Hmm.
And also ChatGPT is very limited when it comes to human verbiage and communication, right? Like I think like I write my comments on LinkedIn and I don't check the grammar. I just this is how I write. This is how I was taught to write. And maybe the punctuation is maybe wrong. But believe it or not, those are the comments that actually get the most likes sometimes because they're like, this is a human that wrote it,
This is a human. It's crazy
right?
the era we are in. You can
Yeah.
literally not just the post, but even the comments. I mean, people, come on, you all you have to do is just acknowledge that post because you want to.
Yeah.
Why are
Yeah.
you going to use ChatGPT for the same thing? And there also I've observed the patterns. So the comment would basically be the same repetition of the post. So it will take one line and say it would say the same thing, reiterate the
Yeah.
same thing that's written in the post. You're not adding any value whatsoever.
Yeah. And you can consider your comments as a post because a comment is part of your social media strategy. So if we're going to get into the LinkedIn topic, it's
Yeah.
about that. It's about just being authentic and make a mistake. Like I'm going to
Mm.
be the first one to say my punctuation is disgusting. It's awful. Like you can tell like I was not good at school, but that I write the way I think. And I have a
Mm-hmm.
filmmaker's mind where some things don't make sense. So I
Mm-hmm.
have to really try hard to picture or verbalize what I'm seeing.
Right.
And then when I write it, it's like, I hope this person understands it. But
Mm-hmm.
if I chat GPT that, it's too formal. It's too clean. It's too robotic. And when someone on the other end reads it, they know it's a chat GPT comment.
I agree. And we were talking about intuition. It's
Mm.
funny that we have this in picture while in during this conversation, but it is a thing. you would know deep down that this is not coming from the human.
Right, right.
It won't. Um, and yeah, I think it's great that we switched to LinkedIn,
Hmm.
because I think it's very important. So we spoke about reviews and how, and before we move on, I think we need to give some credit to the role of AI in
Hmm.
reviews. So can you, before we jump on LinkedIn, give us a picture how AI can change the review game?
Hmm. Yeah, that's a very good question. So right now, what's happening in the market is um, there's companies that are looking for AI generated responses to reviews
Okay.
because believe it or not, there's many brands that we speak to where
Hmm.
the business owner is scared to write back or they just want to leave the reviews as is without a response.
Hmm.
But we encourage and we teach our clients to write a post or have a couple of templates and just tweak them. If you have a challenge in writing these responses, but sadly, there are companies out there that have now AI generated responses based
Mm-hmm.
on the review, and it's you can tell it's AI generated, even though there's a rephrase button. So if you don't like the first version, you click on the rephrase and it gives you another version of the
Mm-hmm. Okay.
comment. And I don't know, there's just something about that it you're just missing an opportunity there. So
Yeah. And then what's
AI,
real? Mm-hmm. What's
right?
real
Like
then?
AI is a tool. I think it's a tool, but I think the human aspect of social media has to remain human. So it is authentic. But to answer your question, I think we're going to see much more AI tools coming out that
Right.
they're great, but we should test them first.
We should test them first. There's another picture. I wish I had it to show you, and not just you, but also people who are
Hmm.
watching it. There's this person I follow. He shared a picture of a cartoon. I don't know the name of the character, but it had a gun.
Oh,
So a gun that was made. So there was a stick, and then there was a rabbit around it. So he basically used all the props to make
okay.
it look like a gun. And what he wrote on that post was, the base is AI, which is solid. So of the gun, there was a metal structure.
Hmm.
The rest of the things were just, a rabbit, tweaked. This person was in a jungle, so that's why a rabbit, etc.
Got
This
it.
might seem wild, and I'll add this. I'll make sure to add this picture so people can visualize it. Maybe I'm
Hmm.
not very good at describing how that looked like. And essentially, what he was trying to say was, the base is AI, and there are a lot of companies out there that use uh, random weird layering to sell it as a SaaS product. So essentially this product has zero added value. They're just setting their product's base on GPT-4, let's say, but there's no added value. Do you see my point?
Got it. 100%. Yeah.
And I don't want to name a company here, but there are a lot of content writing softwares
Yeah.
that are essentially just using GPT-4 or newer models,
Yeah.
and they have a set prompt, and that's it. So all you have to do is feed in the link, etc. The only value they're adding is having the prompt embedded in the software. So you, as a marketer, if you don't understand AI, you'll just purchase their subscription and
Yeah.
you'll get your blogs written, your posts written. But then they're just cashing out on people who are ignorant about leveraging AI, which is an absolute essential in today's world.
That's interesting because I totally get that. I'll give you an example, right? Like you go on LinkedIn, it's great to have 150,000 followers. Like it's not a bad thing. But there's some posts from these content generators that I don't know, they just sound so generated, right? Where maybe you have a little guy like me. I have 2,500. It's not a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but my followers are like CEOs. They're people that are big game players in the franchise or corporate world. I don't have a lot, but I have a lot
Right.
of decision makers. In my case, I've always liked to, it's kind of like AI that generates video, right? I'm an editor. There's something off about AI videos. You know they're not real. They're too
Oh yeah,
polished. That's the
creepy.
same. It's creepy, right? Like, let's type a prompt. Grandfather walking in the Christmas, or sorry, grandfather walking in the snow with his grandson. And the the animation, something's weird, off, right? Too polished.
Mm.
It's the same thing with copywriting. You can tell when it's generated by AI. In my case, I've always been a writer. I love reading. I read paper books and I'm always taking notes. And there's a lot of quotes and notes that I take from these books. I put them in my LinkedIn document and I just copyright, I clean it. And sometimes those posts, they take me 2, 3 days because there's something off about it that I'm not personally liking. So
Mm-hmm.
I edit. And then when I get it to the final thing, it's like, wow, I put so much work into it. I put it out there and 100 views. But one out of those 100 views is one CO who says, I really love that post. Let's connect. And that leads to a sale. I'm okay with not selling to everybody. You know,
That's the way to go, Sebastian. That
be
is the way to
authentic.
go. Yeah, it's authentic and that is the way to go. To give you an example, I was speaking with a client in personal branding, and we were discussing, the metrics to follow for the success of anything that we help the client with. And one of the first thing I mentioned to this person is, um, do not focus on vanity metric. Exactly what you said. Let's not do that. Let's not talk about by the end of the month you would have 100K followers from amount. That's a vanity metric. At the end of the day, every business goal is to make a sale. So let's talk about the real metric, which is the sale. So the ratio of the followers that you have, and out of those people that follow you, how many actually convert? And if they don't, then maybe you're not attracting the right people as you mentioned. So it's not about having 100K followers and having, let's say, 10 that convert, or having 100 followers and having realistically, let's say, 35 of them that convert. Who's doing the job better?
I think that's what it is too, is those relationships, you think of brands or, personalities, celebrities that have millions of followers. These celebrities don't talk to everybody. There's not enough hours in the day to do so. It looks good, but I respect the people that have 100 followers on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And I do know some LinkedIn influencers that have less than 500 and they're very successful.
Very. You don't know, they are underdogs. They are making a ton of cash because they
Yeah.
know how to. That's business. That's
Yeah,
business.
like I think that's great. I think we're all influencers, even if you have 10 followers, but if there are 10 followers that are CEOs that with one deal you can close and that is your target, that's
A
that's
hundred
success.
percent. I love what you say. I think we need to rewire
Hmm.
ourselves as to what an influencer stands for us. Today, when you say an influencer, instantly, how many followers do you have? How many impressions does your post make? Influencer is somebody who makes a real influence, which is to make a sale, or for whatever service they're trying to sell out there. Do they make a real influence? How can you gauge your influence if the person you're speaking with doesn't want to have a deal with you? That's
Yeah.
not influence.
Isn't it crazy?
It is.
It's crazy.
It's
It's like
sad
we're
how
going back,
superficial.
yeah, we're going back to basics, right? I think it's great. I think we need that. Bring the human connection back to humanity,
And it's the
right?
same with what you said about reviews. It's about how real it is. It's
Hmm.
not at all about how many reviews you get.
100%.
Um. Okay. Um. You've so yeah. I don't know how much. What is your thoughts on that? But what about DMing on LinkedIn?
Ooh.
recently. Yeah, that's changing the game altogether. Until now people were thinking about posting, but DMing
DMing.
people making sense.
S-
Yeah.
So I have a lot of insights to share on this because I really love this topic, DMing.
Mm.
We DMing has had this like even when you ask me the question, there's a bit of hesitation from your part, right? Because psychologically, DMing has become associated with salesy,
Yeah.
become a dirty word because
People have done
DMing,
that. Yeah.
yeah, they automate these DMs, and apparently I qualify for a psychology course in Harvard. That was the last DM I got from a university. So it's become DMing and sales have become this dirty word, and I think they shouldn't because we live in a society with social currency, so it's about transparency, right? So when you DM after you've connected with somebody on LinkedIn, you don't need to go on pitch mode right away. Get
Yeah.
to know the person. And to easily illustrate it, are you going to ask somebody to marry you without dating? Right? It's the same
Yeah.
with
It's the
sales.
same. Mm.
Have a relationship before you commit to an agreement, right? Get to know the person, follow them for a while, comment on their posts, um, send a DM first and say, hey, I really liked your recent post about dot, dot, dot. Build those relationships. It's about um, the long-term commitment in those relationships.
Right.
So really, when we're sending out a DM, we're not just building models, we're building futures, right?
Mm.
And those futures is building relationship. The other thing too about DMing is that community, I feel personally, Abby, that the word community has to be a buzzword for 2025.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the things that we're all exposed to when it comes to LinkedIn or any other social media, and we have no power over this, is algorithms.
Oh,
Algorithms
yes.
are changing all the time.
Yeah.
LinkedIn rolled out a massive algorithm update a few weeks ago with video. And when you have a strong sense of community, your
Mm-hmm.
relationships, this is the one thing that community will always overpower switches like these is that community will always outplay algorithms.
100%. This is a $1 million point that you've made. Have you heard of Matt Gray? This is a content guy on LinkedIn.
Hmm.
And I was attending one of his webinars, and he said something very interesting. On an average, LinkedIn's algorithm flashes your posts only to 7% of your total followers. So,
Whoa,
coming back to your point, 7% of your followers. And
that's nothing.
honestly, the math makes sense because do you see people with, let's say, 300K followers? Do you see the number of likes they receive? So if,
Yes.
if a person has 300K, max likes that I've seen on an average is 500 to 800. So you see the ratio, it's like 500K followers versus 500 people liking your post. And out of those, how it's just 7% of your total followers, which very well speaks about the fact that you're a puppet of the algorithm. So where the action that you need here is to convert those followers into your email subscribers, which is owned media, so that you have the power over distribution. So the best content creators out there, or influencers, or even brands, they are trying to have a newsletter because it's like an ocean where you fish and you have the fishes in your own box, or I don't know what to call it.
Yeah. Hmm. I
That's
think
that's the way to control it.
that's amazing observation as well, the 7%. Because the reality is, if you're creating all this content or you're putting money into creating it, and time is a currency, and it doesn't go anywhere, right? Your best spot is to build those relationships convert them in, get their emails, convert them more into like a newsletter type of approach. But sales, honestly, to me, I've been doing sales for 20 years and I've had nothing but fun doing it because I
Mm,
don't sell a product. I just sell me. And people do business with me. And if you ever change a job, like it's what's happening in what we're seeing in the market right now, a lot of companies are seeing these executives jumping around,
right.
and these executives or salespeople take their community with them. Not, they don't do business with the brand.
They don't.
They do business with the individual. So build that community on LinkedIn, get those people, as friends, spend time with them if you can at events. And I've made some great relationships on LinkedIn that have converted into like great friends. And I would have never met these people if it wasn't through LinkedIn. So I'm grateful for LinkedIn for doing that. Like you and I, right? Like we were
Mm-hmm.
total strangers. Somehow I saw your podcast. I watched two of them. I liked the interviews, and then you were connected with franchising, and then I connected with you, and then I sent
It's
you a
a small
message,
world. Yeah.
and then it just like spiraled. And so I love when that happens.
I love that too. And again, coming back to the same point, when you're authentic, you have higher chances to make quality relations with people and have
Yeah,
something, not just business, but anything, long-term relationship, having a good reputation in whichever industry you are in. Because imagine, if you connected with me and the first thing that I would do or you would do is, hey, nice to connect with you. By the way, we offer this service. Would you like to jump on a demo call with us? I mean,
yeah,
that's like attacking somebody. And yeah, the same thing. People sales is decline. The way people perceive sales is going negative just because of the way people
yeah.
think about sales.
And you know what? I always say that we have to respect the salesman. Salespeople are constantly studying trends, consumer insights. This year, I read 3 books on selling because my methods were outdated already. Now I'm current and ahead of the curve. Maybe a year from now, I'm going to have to read another 3 books.
Hmm.
But salespeople, if you think about it, if we don't have these individuals in our society, we have no civilization because salespeople are what create transactions. Brands purchase, buy, sell, create. Like without these sales transactions, then we wouldn't be going to the supermarket, we wouldn't be getting milk and bread to eat. Without that, then we have no economy. So I
Nothing.
think salesmen, we definitely have to give them. I mean, there are sleazy salesmen out there who are doing this for the wrong reasons, but there's other ones that are good. They're good people, they're honest-hearted people, and they put the work in and they don't push. They're all about relationship buildings. And the last 10 years, I've gravitated always towards those individuals because they're not selling me, they're just trying to help me with a solution. And because they're trying to help me, you know what? Take my money. Like,
Yeah. And
it
there's
just has
no
to come out naturally.
desperation. Yeah, and
Yeah.
as we said, it's funny that we're trying to relate everything with intuition, gut feeling, sensing desperation, and this is the case. I've seen in the past, when there are companies that are trying to sell their softwares, A and B have had several scenarios when I have to compare to software companies. One
Yeah.
that is, being very pushy and seeming desperate, not giving space, not really asking the pain points. The other, which
Mhm.
is, this is our value, this is what we do, this is how we can help you. It's your call. We equip you with all the answers, everything that you need, but we let you take your time. They help you overcome the objections
Yeah.
as against trying to be a barrier between you and you making a decision. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I think right now we live in a time where, again, transparency is everything. And we have to be trustworthy. And in order for to be trustworthy, we have to let people in. We can't live in a society where we hold everything close to the chest anymore. We live in a social community now where you have to share insights, share gold with others. And I think that's what makes the LinkedIn community so interesting. Like,
So
I
interesting.
really like LinkedIn. Like, I spend time reading people's information, insights. Like I grab a cup of coffee and I feel like I'm in a library because a
I
lot of
love it too. I love
it's
LinkedIn.
weird. I don't know how to explain it. It's very
Yeah,
different from
my
LinkedIn.
family.
From Instagram or whatever.
For
It's different.
yeah, yeah, it's very different. My family often makes fun. You're like, is this the new Instagram for you? You're not on Instagram, but you're always scrolling through LinkedIn,
Yeah,
like one does on Instagram. But again, uh, that's why there is a need for people to give quality content out there. I feel like every
yeah,
time there's a buzz, that's what you should do. If one person is let's say rolling out carousels, everybody else is.
yeah,
So sure, you have to see what the algorithm prefers and what it doesn't, but do not forget again the essence of our conversation today. You need to be
hmm,
authentic. Otherwise, there'll come a time when you'll cap out and you
yeah,
would not want to produce content anymore because you're not writing it from your heart. You're just following what the algorithm is
yeah,
asking you to do.
yeah. I never follow trends too much either. Like I was reading a book the other day of this is an opportunity to be different. It's great to create carousels and cater to the algorithm, but don't create carousels. Create something else. Be different. Don't be afraid to do something that is different from what the masses are doing. And
I agree.
I've always done that. Like I don't do carousels. I don't do certain things because I know it favors the algorithm. Yeah, I'll get more followers, but it's not my narrative. It's not my story. So that's why I'm me, and that's why you're you. And I find that those are the individuals that are out there on LinkedIn. They're gonna gravitate to you. And
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, and
and
I'm still
yeah,
learning. Yeah,
exactly. And nothing against carousels or following the algorithm. Again, people who are
yeah,
watching it. It's just that do not forget in this quest to increase your reach or increase your followers, which is the case mostly, to be authentic and try
yeah.
new things. This is one issue that I see on LinkedIn today. You would see one influencer doing something and then everybody else follows it. Do you see that? There are like
Yeah,
similar patterns of the way people write and the way people do things.
yeah.
And
And
then
that's
there's
gonna tire
somebody.
out.
And it always tires out. So there's someone who comes up with a new idea. And then
Yeah,
you again have the new structure and everybody follows it, which means LinkedIn is all about innovation, like
yeah.
constantly innovating. And if you know how to innovate, you will stand out. I think that's the way to go on LinkedIn today.
That's amazing. Love this conversation. Ooh, we can keep going for another 5 hours. There's
A
so
hundred
much
percent.
and that's just one platform. Reviews is another. There's so much out there that we have yet to learn, and I think AI is going to change and expedite new innovations. And I'm excited to see where we're going to be in 5 years from now.
Yeah. And I take it all in positive stride. All we have to do
Yeah.
is learn how to work with it and
Hmm.
not forget what would make us seem fake, I would say.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. No, 100%. Love it.
Loved it. And Sebastian, before we stop recording, I would say the point that I loved most while you spoke was community, which
Mm,
literally deserves a separate conversation altogether. It's very important for people, brands alike, to have a community because that's the way to go. People buy from people.
yeah.
So people buy from people, which means I will buy from you if I know that Sebastian is this person who has a thought leadership. But I would also buy from your community, which is where reviews come into the picture.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, when I talk to people about reviews and what we do, they're like, "What?" I thought it would, no. It's very psychological. And there's a
Hmm.
lot of things that we do in the morning, like brushing our teeth. We don't realize we're doing it because we do it every morning.
Right.
Google is the same. When we check out a store, Google. And I haven't even talked about the new technology Google's going to be rolling out, which we can do on a different podcast. But you're going to actually be able to see reviews in real time with these glasses. So you're
Wow.
walking
Okay.
down the street and you're looking over here, and the reviews pop out from each store in real time. So that's another podcast we can connect for. Because man, life is going to change in the next 2 years.
Wow. What's the term for that? It's virtual. No, it's augment. I kind of
I
get
think
confused
it's
between
th-
augmented, virtual, and then you have metaverse. Metaverse is different because you have the
yeah.
um virtual. Anyway,
They're like
for
new
that,
glasses, yeah, that were rolled that were shared on YouTube last week, and it's a beta test glasses from Google. So they just showed what potentially it could do, and I think it'll be the direct competitor for Meta's glasses as well.
love it. I think I can't wait for that to happen, honestly. It would be lovely to wear those glasses, walk down the street, and be able to see real-time reviews.
That's
That's
pretty
gonna be an
neat.
absolute game changer.
Yeah, we'll see what the future entails with this type of technology, right?
Let's see
Because
what it does.
yeah, I'm excited.
I am excited as well. So, Sebastian, thanks a lot. I think this was the most free flow conversation I've had. Um,
Amazing.
LinkedIn deserves another conversation altogether. But thanks a lot for your time. I loved every bit of our conversation.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me, and I enjoy your podcast. You always have like really good guests on your show. So love it what you're doing as well.
Cheers, Sebastian. Virtual high five.
Thank you.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye bye.